Ready? I'd like to call to order the Avalon City Council meeting of Tuesday, October 5th to order. We will also be acting as the Avalon Municipal Hospital Board of Trustees. We could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if we could please have a few moments of silence to recognize the passing of Marilee Reed, who is a longtime resident and homeowner in Avalon, and also Angie Hartfield, the mother of Devin Hart. Please be seated. City Manager, may we have the roll call, please?
Councilmember De La Rosa.
Here.
Councilmember Lavelle.
Here.
Councilmember Ponce.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Cassidy.
Here.
Mayor Marshall.
Here.
For the record, we also have Scott Campbell with us.
Good evening, Scott. Announcements and written communications.
I only have one announcement, and that's to remind the interior residents that vehicle season has started for them. It's for 1 month. It started on Monday, October 4th, and it runs through November 1st. Renewal fee is $35. If you are after November 1st, it will be another additional $29. And that is strictly just for the residents of the interior.
Okay, great. Thank you. We're going to, since we have guests in the audience today, and we haven't been having anybody in here, but we're going to go through a couple of little items so you can see how City Hall works. Okay, we'll have department head reports.
Good evening, Bob Greenlaw, Director of Public Works. Got one item. I'd like to share a letter that we received. I'd like to share it with the community. It's from Jacqueline Coudray, and she was one of the artists here during our art fair, and she was right next to the fire hydrant that had ruptured, so this was her take on it. Dear City of Avalon representatives and officials, the following public employees demonstrated best-in-class performance and exemplary emergency response to the fire hydrant that burst into a water geyser flooding the immediate area at the above referenced location. You know, it was right there by the drugstore. Avalon Fire, Dave Long, Ryan Keenline, James Butte, LA County Fire, Cameron Davey, Tim Vanderlip, and City of Avalon Public Works, we had Jamie Heimlich, Jeffrey Hernandez, Jose Silva, Oscar Tejeda. Code Enforcement, we had Efron Marino, and Montrose Engineering, we had Mario Perez and Miguel Rodriguez on the response. And so that was the team of professionals that we had sent to help with the response on that. So she said, I was setting up my booth as an exhibiting artist 5 to 6 feet away from the hydrant Saturday morning during the 62nd annual Catalina Festival of Art when I heard the pressure building and the fire hydrant began to hiss water. Immediately I grabbed my open bins of art and exited to the back of the booth. The next 10 to 20 minutes was a blur as I quickly was mid-calf deep in flooding, murky water, actively saving my belongings from the water damage. At least one or two bolts blew and gaskets flew from the water, bursting under the pressure incident. A volunteer firewoman, I believe her name was Laura, jumped in to help me move tables to higher ground, recruited emergency help, and fire officials were promptly on the scene. The fire team of professionals mentioned above attended to me and my belongings, making sure I was okay and checking any damage to my belongings. Thanks to all our fast response in this emergency situation, no harm or damage came to me or my belongings, a truly amazing miracle. They checked on me twice again during the day, inspected everything physically, and showed up for the award ceremony Saturday at 3 p.m. I wanted you all to know what a high-performing team of emergency professionals the City of Avalon has working 24/7 in the community. Please acknowledge, applaud these individuals, and a copy of this letter is provided to them and finds its way into the respective personnel files. I look forward to the 63rd Annual Catalina Festival of Art and returning soon to paint your beautiful, inspiring island. Kindest regards, Jacqueline Coudray.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
Any questions of me?
I have a question. I don't know about the rest of the council, but I'm getting, in the last couple of days, I've gotten 3 calls and I've been meeting with the residents on Tremont. And I was wondering when we will be looking at that plan again for that phase of the project?
So we're already authorized to go out to bid for the utility portion. So we'll get the bids in for the utility portion. While we're working on getting those bids in, so we have the financial aspect of it, we're also working with the homeowners on the last details on that frontage for the plans. And that's when I'll bring that back to council in November. And right now we're scheduled for the last meeting in November to be able to discuss that. And then I would bring in what I've heard in working with the owners. We have a team, a landscape architect on our team, and we're working on the design of those transition improvements. And then you would be presented with a set of alternatives and recommendations for each property that you would be able to review prior to the meeting, of course, and then we can discuss that. That's the way that we've got it scheduled out.
Well, then perhaps if that's the way you're going to stick to that, I would like to meet with you based on the conversations I've been having with folks and put my 2 cents in a little earlier perhaps, but I don't know, it seems like it should come back to the council. I don't know, it feels like it's still going to go, it doesn't feel to me, Bob, like there's a lot of room for deviation, and I have a feeling that some of the homeowners kind of don't feel that either. Even though you and Jamie have been wonderful with them, I still feel they have a feeling of, but it's going to go this way anyway. And so I don't know the best way to tackle that, but, and I don't know if you all are getting calls, but
Annie, I just want to say that, as Bob just said, that he'd also be providing you with an alternative. It's not on Mr. Greenlaw to make any decisions, so he's just doing and protecting the city's interests the best he can, and then he comes forward to the council. But certainly, if you would like to meet with him earlier, I'm sure he'd be more than happy.
yeah, just to talk over a few little things to see if that's what's in your wheel, if this is even what you're thinking, because if you know, I want to make sure that there's some kind of on the same page, because I know.
And if there's additional guidance that, as we move through this, that council wants to give, we want to meet before that and discuss it. But otherwise, what we've been saying all the way along is that there is properties that have encroached on city public space.
Yes.
And that's where most of the pushback is. And all we're trying to do is protect the everybody's interest, which is it's the public space, and they've used it exclusively for the private use.
Yes.
So that's what we're doing. We're trying to recapture that. Okay. And sometimes that's painful. That's painful, and it occurs across the city. And so, what I'm trying to, with my skill set, I'm trying to make everybody aware that I know where property lines are, and I'm trying to make everybody aware. And as long as everybody's okay with that, then they can exist, because we got mechanisms. Right now, there's no legal right for the way they exist there, because they're not even with an encroachment permit.
I understand that.
Yeah, okay. So that's where I'm at, and that's the way I've been pursuing it.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you,
Okay.
Bob.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions of Bob? I'm sorry. Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, Warren Karstaffen, Harbor Master. Well, fall's definitely here, and we've seen a slight drop off in the visiting boaters. However, Buccaneer Days at the Isthmus and the Lobster Opener has kept us busy throughout the weekend. Here are the numbers. Patrol moored 725 vessels for a total of 2,551 nights. Patrol did 4 accident reports during this last period, responded and assisted with 2 medical incidents, and 16 warn and advisements of municipal code violations with 1 citation. Notable events, we had the cruise ships resume their scheduled calls to Avalon, starting with the Carnival Miracle on September 28th. The New Amsterdam came in today. They arrived about 11 a.m., and then they'll be departing probably about 6 p.m. And then we have the Miracle again tomorrow. So on the pier yesterday, Monday, October 4th, was the awards banquet for the War Heroes on the Water. Was held, like I said, on the Pleasure Pier. The banquet was hosted by the Lobster Trap and was well attended by all, including nearly 40 yachts from nearby harbors. Fish weigh-in and entertainment continued into the evening under the threatening skies with occasional light rain. The tournament's goal was to honor the 100 veterans with 4 days of deep water fishing and raise money for the continued therapeutic services for the combat wounded warrior veterans. And from what I could tell, everybody had a great time. It was a really nice event. Does anybody have any questions?
It was nice to see the parade of boats coming in and out for fishing as well. That's something we haven't seen for a while, so it was nice to see that return.
Yeah, correct. We haven't seen that for some time. It was nice, nice to see.
Hey, Orrin, I just wanted to chime in and say thank you so much also to yourself and Dan Hunke for all the work leading up to this and being willing to, you know, allow the event and in the way in which it was hoped to happen. I volunteered all evening last night, and it was vibe on the pier was from every single person I talked to, and I know Mayor Marshall would say the same thing. Everybody was so thankful to be in Avalon and so excited to be back in Avalon. And certainly the military servicemen were just delighted at the attention, the opportunity to have these couple days. And so that is one of the actual types of events that I love seeing for our community. And also just wanted to do a shout out to Caleb Lins and his whole crew for their donation of last night's food and beverage, and also to Levent from Catalina Beverage, who participated as well. So thanks again.
Thank you, Lauren.
Hello, Madam Mayor and members of council. Joe Badali from the Sheriff's Department. And I want to echo the same, speaking about the War Heroes on Water. I was in attendance as well as Sergeant Klein, and we provided security for them and ensured that everybody behaved themselves and everything went well. And all in all, it was a great success. A lot of positive feedback from members, the veterans, as well as members of the community for that event. To speak also about Buccaneer Days, we had very little issues over in Two Harbors side. The cyclone did a lot of increased shuttle with Avalon attendees, and we had no issues of any of the Avalon attendees returning from the event or going to the event. We also, as the harbor master mentioned, we have our second cruise ship in the harbor now, and I met with the chief of security for Carnival Cruise Lines, and we spoke about different types of scenarios and or events we may have to be involved with as it relates to the ship and or anybody on board the ship with law enforcement related issues and matters. And this weekend, we're increasing our staffing for the Sammy Hagar concert, the ABBA concert, as well as the Island Marathon. So it's going to be another busy weekend for us, but we're ready for it, and we have our decibel meters in hand.
Thank you.
Any questions?
I have one comment from some locals who are concerned about, once again, the electric bikes. we need to do something because it is getting dangerous. These kids think because it's a bike, they can ride on whichever side of the street they want. No helmets, multiple people on a bike. We need to do something before somebody does get hurt.
I continue to echo the same concerns. I've personally issued citations to minors who are not wearing helmets, one who ran a stop sign in front of me too. So it's something that we have to do to get their attention. We have met with them individually. I meet with them outside the library, majority of the violators, let's say, and I try to spread the word to just educate them and rather than punish them, but they are receiving citations. The school and having either during an assembly. We also have Red Ribbon Week coming up. We'll be on campus with the kids as well, and we'll try to spread the word during that Red Ribbon Week.
Because it would be nice if they got just the basic state of the right, no riding on sidewalks, wear the helmet. I'm not sure if the governor passed the legislation that was going to allow people to go ahead and go through stop signs with just slowing down, because right now you're supposed to stop at a stop sign. But I know it was on his desk. I just don't know if he ever signed it. But would be slowing down, that people need to follow the rules of the road. It's not a free-for-all that you can weave in and out of golf carts driving because they're going too slow for you. It's getting a little hairy, especially right there on Clarissa at that intersection. So
yeah, I understand. Thank you. And we also have been outside of the school campus looking for the same violations. The kids some will be walking, some will be on the bike adjacent to them on the wrong side of the road, and we've addressed that with them as well. If you're on a bike, you can walk it or follow the rules of the road. So,
All right,
thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Just a few updates. The captain kind of touched on some of them. This weekend, busy weekend coming up with the Hagar concert Thursday, Friday, and Saturday out at the casino. Tickets are still available for those if you haven't got those already. Also, as mentioned, the Catalina Marathon. And if you're not a 26-mile runner, there's a 10K and a 5K that's also available to you. And that's Saturday. You can go to CatalinaIslandMarathon.com to register for that, their 44th annual. The city is also, in collaboration with the Rotary, their monthly community cleanup day will be this Saturday, the 9th as well, from 9 to 10:30 across the street. Love to have you out. We've got bags, we've got gloves. Catalina, beautiful. And then lastly for Saturday, as mentioned, is the ABBA concert. Typically they've been a little bit later. This one's going to run at 6:30 at Wrigley Stage to 8 o'clock, trying to get that crowd in and out before they might move on to the 8 o'clock show for the Hair concert. Mark your calendars for the 21st. It's our annual fall festival. We're really happy to be back again. At this point, I think we're looking at about 35 booths. So it's Front Street on the 21st, Thursday the 21st, from 5 to 9. And we'll have things like tacos and frescas and glow products and more tacos and tamales and burritos, sodas. Conservancy is going to be out with some native plants, glow products, fishing game, a cakewalk, enchiladas. Some craft tables, face painting, a pumpkin patch, funnel cakes, and more. And I think working with the Art Council, we will also have some of their artisans out and do kind of a crafters area, getting ready for the holidays there. And then lastly, Halloween falls on a Sunday this year. I think we had some success in a Halloween golf cart parade last year. Kind of a hybrid golf cart, kids walking, maybe not walking quite as far, but the lineup will be similar like it's been in the past for 4th of July out by Via Casino. decorating contest for golf carts, and then we'll have awards for kids and prizes for the kids that come through. So 4 o'clock will be the lineup through there. Front Street will be done by 4:45, 5 o'clock, so they can go off and knock on doors.
Great.
So that's it from the,
That's good. That's a
From the
lot of
Civil Department.
stuff in fall. That's wonderful.
thank you.
Uh-huh. Do we have, is Matt going to join us? Oh, he's on the phone.
Matt Baker, Finance Department. I don't have any updates tonight unless there are any questions.
No, thank you. Okay.
And then I have an update. Mike Palmer, Assistant City Manager. I have two quick updates. One is on the state side, and the other one is as it pertains to LA County. I just want to remind everybody that California's existing eviction protections under AB 832, which protected many tenants statewide from eviction for non-payment of rent, ended on September 30th. However, on October 1st, the state transitioned to an extended eviction protection period that primarily serves tenants that are at or below 80% area median income who have timely completed an application for rent relief. There is a rent relief program that the state has. That's the California COVID-19 Rent Relief Program. It provides financial assistance for rent and utilities to income-eligible California renters and their landlords who have been impacted by COVID-19. You can apply for the program by visiting housingiskey.com. That's HOUSING iskey.com. Or you can call the COVID Rent Relief Call Center at 833-430-2122 daily from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then I also wanted to update everyone on something that transpired in LA County. On September 28th, the LA County Board of Supervisors adopted the LA County COVID-19 Tenant Protection Resolution, which essentially extends certain protections previously in effect under the county's eviction moratorium. This COVID-19 tenant protections are retroactive from March 4th, 2020, and provide affirmative defenses against evictions for residential and commercial tenants through January 31st, 2022, unless repealed or extended by the board. And essentially what an affirmative defense is it's a justification for fighting the eviction. So some common ones are as it relates to discrimination or retaliation type evictions. Under these protections, residential and commercial tenants may not be evicted for COVID-19 related non-payment of rent, as well as no-fault reasons such as denying entry to a landlord, nuisance, or unauthorized occupants or pents if they're related to COVID-19. These protections apply to residential tenants, commercial tenants, and mobile home space renters in unincorporated LA County, as well as cities in the county that don't have a moratorium in place. Just as a reminder, our previous eviction protections had previously expired several months ago, so that we would fall under the protection of the LA County Board of Supervisors resolution. So anybody that has additional questions, they can contact me either up at the front desk or in the planning department.
Michael, thank you. Thank you very much. City Manager?
I have nothing, Nanny.
City Attorney?
Just to note that starting next meeting, we'll be having an action item to extend the attendance via telecommunicating for Brown Act meetings. The Planning Commission will have one too. We have to adopt this this action every 30 days at least to keep telecommunicating going, and so you'll see that on next agenda.
Okay. All right, thank you. Council member reports.
I'll go first.
Thank you.
Just a reminder, Dan's already beat me to it, but trash pickup on Saturday, 9 o'clock, across the street at the park. Please come out and join. And then I would like to thank the City of Avalon and all of the people who participated and put on Rotary's 5th annual chili cook-off. After 18 months, it was nice to have an event on the beach again. It went really well. And congratulations to Chris Blem, who won People's Choice, and to the Naughty Fox for winning the Judges Award. But it was a great event, it was a great 3 hours, very happy to see people out there. and seeing us coming back. So thank you very much.
Great. Lisa, Yesenia, Cindy?
I attended the connectivity group meeting this past Monday and had a few different meetings with stakeholders regarding broadband, and we'll be doing a presentation with the members of the LA and Orange County Broadband Consortium on Friday with Jim Lujan of the Chamber and Mike Piasecki from Catalina Broadband regarding the kind of projects that we're looking at, and hope to have more updates soon on that. But this is in advance of basically creating an ask video for funding from different sources that'll be in attendance at that meeting as well. So.
Great, thank you. Yesenia? Councilmember De La Rosa, did you have anything, or Cindy?
I think Sarah's frozen on the screen, so I'll go. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I also attended the connectivity meeting on Monday. Great information. I attended, or actually requested and had a meeting today with representatives from Southern California Edison to get an update on where we are phased water rationing, as well as how operations are going and grant funding opportunities for DSAL. Wonderful conversation, and we'll be continuing those conversations as we move forward, and all of us still praying for rain and doing our rain dances. Thank you for the little bit we got last night. Additionally, I attended virtually parts of the Sea Trade Conference along with Jim Lujan, who is going to give a proper update for the conference and meetings during oral communications. And lastly, I would like to throw it out there. Mayor Marshall had mentioned it once before. I would like to ask for support in bringing an agenda item back to the city council to consider a resolution to support 17 other cities in our region for a no confidence vote for Gascon.
Great.
And that's all I have.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Councilmember Cassidy, no confidence vote for what?
Yes, District
Yes.
Attorney Gascon.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
If we could just bring an agenda item back to the council to consider joining the other cities in our area. Actually, I'm so sorry. I believe there may be 22 cities now.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Great, thank you. I received a letter from two artists that were here at the Art Festival, Larissa Johnston and Albert Johnston III. They were giving accolades to Lola DeMille for putting on such a fine event. We found Lola to be more than accommodating and saw her basically bend over backwards to assist every exhibitor. She was very multitasked in her duties as the director of the Art Association, and there's more, but anyway, that was a wonderful letter. The third Wednesday of this month will be Minutes with the Mayor, and I will have a special guest, so please tune in. That's at 4 o'clock on Wednesdays. And I didn't ask why, but at the last council meeting, we pulled that item that was from the Planning Commission on the fines for transient rentals. Is that going to be coming back?
It's our next meeting. We had to properly post
Okay.
it.
Oh, okay, thank you. Alrighty, well, that's it. So now we have presentation, I believe, and so I would first like to read a proclamation. A proclamation of the City Council of the City of Avalon recognizing the Senior Meals Program volunteers. Whereas the City of Avalon Senior Meals Program has both congregate and home delivered services and has served our community for more than 15 years, and whereas these years of service have been marked by exemplary dedication to the best interest of this community, and whereas the volunteers are the backbone of the program and deliver more than 5,600 meals a year to seniors, affectionately known as our prime timers in the City of Avalon, and individuals with disabilities who are at significant risk of hunger and isolation. And whereas last year was a year of tremendous struggle and suffering around the globe, for our volunteers, it quickly became a time to step up, fight, and ultimately persevere, all in the name of protecting America's seniors from the threat of COVID-19. And whereas the seniors who rely on the Senior Meals Program were and remain most at risk in the face of the deadly pandemic. And whereas the City of Avalon wishes to recognize these volunteers for their continued cooperation and to encourage the voluntary participation of others in this valuable service. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of Avalon urges our citizens to recognize the Senior Meals Program volunteers for their dedicated efforts toward developing a sense of community spirit and enhancing the quality of life for our community seniors and individuals with disabilities through their service. Dated this 5th day of October, 2021, by the Avalon City Council. So thank you.
Mayor, thank you. City Council, thank you for the time on the agenda tonight to recognize our volunteers here. This is long overdue. I've been here for 5 years and been wanting to do this for some time, and I think it's probably poignant that we do it now, kind of as we're hopefully post-pandemic. Some of you might remember, but we got into this pandemic and we were all sheltering in place. We weren't supposed to be going out. We had seniors that weren't supposed to go out at all. We kind of geared up and we had our mutual aid response. We were delivering groceries, we were picking up prescriptions, and day in and day out through this whole thing, Tricia just reminded me that we'd come into work and we didn't know if we'd have to shut the program down. We had seniors that couldn't go out, couldn't get food, and day in and day out we had these, our volunteers in this program continue to deliver to the point, and Chuck, if you don't mind me sharing this, we had to fire Chuck. I mean, he was a senior of age, wasn't supposed to be going out. I had to literally almost grab him by the ear and say, Chuck, you need to stop. You're going to take a little break. If we can serve you, we'd like to be able to serve you, which we did begrudgingly, right, Chuck? Yeah, so, for his welfare and the rest of our seniors, we wanted to be able to provide for him. He would call me weekly going, I'm fine, I can, not yet, we're not there yet, I'll let you know as soon as we can. And as soon as we could, he was back out and delivering again. So we'd like to bring them up individually, we could, and just, if I can say just a few words about them. They are the backbone to this program. Without this program, it doesn't exist. And I think the testament is here in this room. We have 12 of them that are assisting in the program right now, and 10 of the 12 are here. 2 of them are out of town and couldn't make it. So I think that's a wonderful testament to how involved and committed they are to the program. Long overdue, the pandemic we talked about. Just real quick before I go, the restaurants that are serving, which are our partners in this as well, we're purchasing a meal for $6 from the restaurants. It's probably an $8 or $10 meal. We're getting it for $6 and charging $3 to the recipient, and then the city picks up the other $3 as part of the program. But it's the Sand Trap, it's Big Antonio's, it's Katie's Kitchen, it's Buffalo Nickel. Right now it's the Cove. It was Ning's. Everybody remember Ning's? We were pulling from Ning's and Mrs. T's. Coney Island on Sundays. Metroville Cafe has helped out in the past. Pete's has stepped out and helped out in the past. And Coyote Joe's has stepped out and helped in the past. So with that, the first one is Sharon. Sharon, would you mind coming up? Sharon John. So Sharon is probably one of our longest standing volunteers. I've been with the group for 5 years. I've been here about 5 years, and I think she was volunteering, and maybe even before that. She is a driver. She hosted at Singing Waters with Zella for many years. She hosted during the pandemic when we couldn't meet. She offered a little spot out front of her door out at her weekly place where people could pick up, and she was making sure. She jumped in and helped out with food delivery when we were doing the food pantry. She has always been around to help, and just a super big heart, and thank you, Sharon. And this is a little so, in these little boxes, Brittany Arnold made some cookies. There's a golf cart in there, a golf cart cookie, and a thank you cookie, and a little flower cookie. I've got one up on your dais there for council members. Thank you very much. Next is Mary. Mary is active in a lot of the programs that we do. You'll see her out at bingo. You'll see her out at water aerobics. You'll see her out at stretch. She is our Friday driver, and she has probably only missed maybe some grandchildren's births and maybe a wedding she might have missed a week, but there haven't been many of them. But she's told me the story a couple times now, but it warms my heart that she gets as much out of it as the recipients. And the recipients get a ton out of this. Tricia could attest to, Marissa could attest to the cards, thank you cards, and the notes that we get, just thanking them for the program. But Mary will go in, as well as the rest of the directors, and not just dropping off a meal, but it's knocking on the door and a little bit of a wellness check. Some of these people, they don't get to have visitors. Family may not be on the island, and this is some of the only interaction they get on a daily basis. And it might just be brief, but they'll check on them, make sure they're doing okay. We'll get a thumbs up. We'll get a puff of smoke, depending on whose house it is. Cigarette smoke, just cigarette smoke. Just make sure they're okay. You know what I meant. So Mary, thank you. Thank you very much. Who do we have next, Mayor? Yes, Joanna and Tom. Yes, come on up. So I met them. I feel like I met them right around the time of about a year and a half ago, about the start of the pandemic. They were already delivering, and we went from delivering meals to loading up their golf carts on Wednesdays. He had a system in place where we couldn't get any more things on there. We had groceries hanging, we had groceries out the back, and we talked about putting you on the roof rack at times just to make sure we had. But this is one of our combinations or dual combinations of a driver and a runner. They've been with us for a year and a half, and they're delivering twice a week, and probably if we had a third day a week, they might take that as well. But they've been with us. How long have you been with us? Probably right about that time, yeah. And always willing to pick up a date if cart goes down or somebody can't make it. So they've been wonderful to work with. This is a certificate that you have to share, but we're going to give you each your own box of cookies that you don't have to share. How's that? Okay. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you. And the proclamation is just one proclamation, but we could do it like the Stanley Cup, where you guys could take it for a week or a month and rotate it around your households, or not. It can sit in my office. Mark Phelps, another just absolute go-to person, probably one of the busier schedules. Everybody, not everybody, a lot of them have, work that they're doing and kind of fitness in, but one of our busier drivers that will find just a little niche in time when Marissa or Tricia especially, who's working with the volunteers, calls on him. He's able to kind of shuffle things around. How long have you been doing? Yeah, a year and a half as well. But just a go-to person, makes himself available, and just a kind heart. So thank you. Chuck is the next one. So Chuck, I already kind of touched on. Chuck was. So Chuck, he was looking for, he does a lot of volunteer work. He was looking for another way to give back, and we got to talking about this, and we had a date open, and it worked out really well, and we got into the pandemic, like I mentioned, and it was, Chuck, we've got to shut you down. I think, everybody else is holed up, and Chuck's, week 1 into it, week 2 in it. Chuck, you're done. We're going to take your keys away from you. We're going to take your card away from you. We're not going to call you anymore. And he was mad at me. I mean, I think he was kind of mad at me.
He always referred to me as a young man.
Yes.
And then he says, we looked up your records, you're not.
I did say that. You were at least 55 at the time, a year and a half ago. Okay. But Chuck, just a huge, huge heart. Again, somebody would check on people, always concerned, probably more contact with us than anybody, which was great. He wanted to make sure that we had the number of meals that he on his list, that matched our list, that matched the restaurant. And it would be six phone calls over the course of the weekend just to make sure we got it just right. And we just got it just right. So he's on the bench right now. He pulled back for his own medical reasons, but as soon as we can get him through that, we'd love to have you back. So thank you, Chuck. Thank you.
The fact that you brought up the point, in some cases, we are the only ones checking on some of these people. And I had the unfortunate time to find somebody who had fallen out of bed and had no way to communicate his problem. So I'm just saying it does a lot more than just the food. It lets them know that somebody is checking on them daily. And believe me, that I felt so good because I had no idea when the next person would have come. So, yeah, so again, it's a lot bigger than the program just serving food.
We've got the last few. I know we've got a busy agenda tonight. So Debbie and Skip Hudson. I just met Debbie and Skip today, and I think they've been with us for pretty much most of the summer.
These guys, we were trained by the
They drug you into this? They're recruited? Okay. Highly recruited. So when I asked her to see her, she thought maybe 3 or 4 months, so kind of beginning of the summer. And just a great addition to the group. What I got was they do it with a smile, happy, and real positive energy. So welcome aboard. I'm glad you guys are joining us, and thank you for... It was really cute. Debbie contacted me, put invitations out. We're hand-delivered invitations out to everybody. And I was out last week, and she left me a message. She goes, we'd love to make the party. And so I got back to my office. I heard the message yesterday, and I called her back. I left her a message. I hope I didn't oversell this as a party. It's a city council meeting. I'd still love to have you. Understand that you may not want to be here, but please come. We'd love to have you. So Carol and Jeffrey, they are a mother-son combination, and they've been with us for a couple years as well. Another group, and they would love to have been here. They just have to be over town, I believe, this week. But they've been doing it for a couple years, and just another go-to group if they need some help. Carol had some knee issues at one time. She was doing it on her own, and she was so polite. She called me and asked, going, still want to continue to do this. Can I bring my son into it, who also has a little bit of medical condition, and he can run for me, and I can still continue to drive. And so they're another great dual team that we've got working with us. So Carol and Jeffrey, thank you. And then, last but not least, I did this intentionally. Zella, do you want to come up? Just come on up, Zella. So I've known Zella for 5 years now. The first time I met her, I happened to go out to senior meals at Singing Waters, and I'd been at work for a couple weeks and wanted to see what the program was like. And Zella said, "Young man, what can I help you with?" And I said, "I'm here with the city, and I just wanted to see a little bit about the program, see what we can do to kind of support it." And she said, "We haven't had anybody from the city come out," I don't know if it's true, but come out for years. I said, "Well, I'm here now, and let's see what we can do." So Zella and I worked together for probably 3 years. She ran this program by herself. I think Sharon kind of hosted. But she was calling in meals. She was putting out the schedule. She was eating dinner, yeah. She was working with the volunteers, scheduling the volunteers, and she was doing the invoices, and it was kind of a one-person operation with some hosting with Sharon at the time. And I hate to say it, it's taken me part of Tricia's time and part of my time and part of Marissa's time to kind of match her efforts. But this program would not still be running without Zella and everything she's done for it. And very much appreciated, Zella, for all your time with it. Thank you. Okay. So so can we do just a real quick group shot of everybody? I'd love to do that. And then in closing, I just wanted to thank also Tricia and Marissa. This program wouldn't happen without their help as well, so thank you guys. Tricia, I'm going to take the picture. Okay, yeah, come on in. Come on in, Zella. Let's get you in the middle of it. Tricia, come on in. And then after, you guys are welcome to be on out of here unless you want to be here for the next. Are we all in? Are we all in?
How about this? Oh! No, turn it back.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Dad.
Yes, thank you, thank you.
I set my tongue.
All right. All right, thank you. Good job. We got another
lovely party.
We left the party house in the car.
See what you kids are missing by being at home. And you didn't get a cookie either. Okay. Oh, okay. Yesenia, I'm sorry. Did you have something you wanted to report as well?
Yes, thank you. It'll be rather quick. I just did want to say that October is Domestic Violence Awareness and Prevention Month. So I did want to share a couple of resources. One being Domestic Violence 24 Hours Hotline. And the number for that is 1-800-799-7223. And to also receive local confidential assistance, it will be an email. And it is info@the-ciwf.org, and that's for the Catalina Island Women's Forum. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, oral communications. This is an opportunity for people in the community to speak on items that are not on the agenda. You will be limited to 2 minutes and no action will be taken. And Michael, do you have anybody that's called in or written in?
I do. I have two. The first one is from Constance Root. She's an Avalon resident. She writes, "Hello, Council. I'm commenting today about the Avalon Skate Park. I am so happy that it is getting some much-needed attention. The youth of our community who utilize the space deserve it. They have chosen skating or BMX in their sport. Their area to practice should be maintained as well as other sport facilities in town. These kids can go on to compete, get social media recognition, or even the Olympics. These youth are really amazing. As I get to know them both at the park and at school, I see how they encourage each other and have meaningful interactions at the park. I hope we are able to use the street art as a draw for the visitors to use that park as well. There are many videos on Instagram and TikTok of skaters at the park. It's embarrassing to have trash along the fence from neighboring properties, one broken picnic table, and no shade. Many more people can utilize the space with proper signage in town. Skateboard and equipment rentals, weekly or monthly competitions for local youth, and so many more options. This is an important sport for many of our youth. As a small business owner of a skater brand, I've reached out to many of the youth here, and they just want to be taken seriously for their art. Thank you, Constance."
That's very nice.
The next public comment I have is from Jim Lutjan. He writes, "I attended virtually sea trade conference meetings with cruise ships currently calling on Avalon or slated to resume doing so in the next year, including Royal Caribbean, Celebrity, Holland America, and Princess. Meetings were held with port operations and shore excursion representatives. Like all industries, COVID-19 has taken a toll on the industry and has caused the shuffling of contacts due to reorganization. The meetings were invaluable in giving and receiving information on our respective needs, opportunities, and concerns. Among the areas of most interest were what our community has done in COVID-19 prevention and response, what's new for their guests to enjoy. Follow-up emails addressing individual needs have been sent to each respective cruise line representative. Our virtual booth will remain active and be monitored for additional communications through the end of the month. Additional contacts were made with media that cover cruise ports for future exposure. Those are it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on. Is there, are we clear, Captain? Thank you. Consent calendar?
We have 5 items this evening on the consent calendar. The first one is minutes from the September 1st, 2021 City Council meeting. And I just want to make the correction that the agenda says special City Council meeting, but it was a regular City Council meeting. We have warrants for a total disbursement of $1,409,713.81 for the time period of September 6th through September 24th. The third one is to adopt the City of Avalon Statement of Investment Policy for Solid Waste Post-Closure and Corrective Action Trust Fund. Fourth one is to adopt a resolution accepting a grant from the State of California Department of Parks and Recreation, Division of Boating and Waterways, Boating Safety and Enforcement Equipment Grant Program, and to authorize the city manager or designee to execute the grant agreement. The fifth one is the City Council acting as the Municipal Hospital Board of Trustees, and it's to receive and file the reports for the CEO of September 2021 report and the CFO's August 2021 report.
Any questions, or is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve consent calendar items 1 through 5.
I'll second.
Okay. Call for the vote.
Councilmember De La Rosa.
Aye.
Councilmember Lavelle.
Aye.
Councilmember Ponce.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Cassidy.
Aye.
Mayor Marshall.
Aye.
The next item on the agenda is under general business, and Dan Hunke will be presenting this item.
Thank you again, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Over the last 5 years, we've had wonderful opportunities to upgrade our parks and some of our facilities. Some of those things were the synthetic turf and irrigation, replacement of bleachers, the outdoor fitness, and the public address system and shade up at Joe Machado Field. Provide a theme program to playground equipment, synthetic turf, and provide shaded seating, installation of barbecue pits, and improvements to both the volleyball and basketball courts at Canobie Park. And I didn't include swings, the only swings that we've got on the island there at Canobie Park. Installation of new picnic benches and shade umbrellas at City Park. A major project, the synthetic turf installation, replacement of playground surfacing, installation of outdoor fitness equipment, opening of the dog park at Kids Park, and then the replacement and or rehab of most of the ramps and skate obstacles at the skate park. One of the things Constance brought up, and I appreciate that, we'd like to recognize here in the next probably month or so the artists that have come out to the skate park and done some of the art. We have a little bit of a fund drive going on right now for somebody that grew up skating the park that passed recently, and they're doing kind of a memorial fund. So I think we're going to have some funding for some park equipment, playground or skate park equipment there. So I think as kind of the as we wrap up the paint installations, we have a little bit of money in the budget. With some of this money coming in, we'll kind of do that and recognize those artists at the same time. Before you is the City of Avalon per capita program proposed projects. The city is, let's see if I can do this, look at that. Prop 68 by way of Senate Bill 5, approved by the voters in June 5th of 2018. 60% of these funds go to cities or eligible districts by population, 40% of the funds to counties and regional districts. City of Avalon has been allocated $177,252 with a 20% match of about $35,590. So in essence, we have about $220,000 that needs to be implemented by December 31st of 2023. The task before us is to take a look at some of the ideas that staff have put together and then open up some discussion for the other ideas that you might have in mind for these monies. Our first benchmark is coming up pretty quick, and it's a resolution that needs to be done by the end of December, as well as the project application in by the end of December. So we looked at first facilities that we own. They need to be facilities that we own. They can't be leased facilities. So those would be Avalon Kids Park, would be Joe Machado Field. We looked at some ideas for Front Street and Lovers Cove, and again are open to other improvements as you see fit. Again, just looking for some direction on what we can do with some of these monies. A lot of the facilities have major rehabs to them, and some of them, like Kids Park, with just a couple little pockets that are undeveloped at this point, or we can redevelop an area, but we were looking at the areas that aren't as developed as some of the others throughout. So the first area we looked at was Avalon Kids Park, so across the street. The two proposed areas are the ones that are shaded out in the ovals, so on either side of the playground structure. This park, we did a synthetic turf installation. The dog park, we resurfaced the playground surfacing, and it had the installation of both the barbecue pit area and the picnic area, along with the fitness equipment. The two areas that we had in mind, again, were on either side of the playground, this being one of them, and we're calling on the bathroom side. And some proposed ideas would be, on the left you'll see an adventure, we're calling it an adventure park, but it's basically a kind of a climbing area. They liken those to what they call bamboo poles, so there's a series of poles that you can kind of climb at different levels of elevation throughout that area, and then a climbing rock that you can kind of go up and around. It would have a surfacing. It could be pour-in-place surfacing. It could be 5-bar, the wood chips, or it could be sand surfacing, but it would have a surfacing element to it. And we are proposing that to be at about a $40,000 cost. Most of these installations are installation that we feel like we can do ourselves, and as part of that that match, that 20% match, the time and salaries that go towards that could go towards that match. And so this would be a relatively easy installation, depending on what the surfacing is, that we could do ourselves. Another example of something that could go there, and we thought long and hard about the next one. It's a splash pad. Splash pad is just basically a water playground. It's a relatively small area for that, for the price tag on that. Generally, these go in two different ways. They go in as the water just goes to waste, which we thought was a big no-no, certainly here. We do have fresh water at the park there, as well as salt water. We could look at a saltwater option. We've talked to a couple of the manufacturers. They don't recommend the salt water just because of the corrosiveness on the hardware. There's demand switches for these that go on and off, and those do fail, certainly sooner in the saltwater application than a freshwater application. Or a system where the water is captured. There's a holding tank underground. If it's captured, it needs to be treated with chemicals, chlorine, and circulated back through the system. And so that's where that drives the cost there. So I'll leave you with that. We'll go on to the next one. Another option, and these aren't the exact slides, and you can see we kind of superimposed. So this is on the other side of the playground, to the left of the playground if you were looking at it. We superimposed that picture of the slides. On the left is the existing, but basically they're just called embankment slides that would come down the side of the hill. We tried to put in, we are not experts at this by any means, so we tried to put in some fencing. We would have some, split rail fencing, at the top of it, so the kids weren't going up to the street on top of it or coming down from the street on top of it. It would only go about 2/3 of the way up there. And then we weren't able to show it, but the split rail fencing would kind of come down the sides as well. It wouldn't be white when we put it in the tan color. It would match what we have at the park now. You couldn't see it hardly at all. It just got camouflaged. So it'd be some railing up there, some slides coming down the hill. And a lot of the costs there are going to be based on soils testing, And then retaining, to put in some kind of a stair step system up there and some retention to keep that hill from coming down. So that was another possible option for Kids Park. And then the last one for Kids Park was, and these are the highlighted areas, we do have the outdoor play equipment, and it's all structured around some cardio pieces out towards the front, towards the street, are cardio pieces, and then some strength pieces that are just, they're on resistance pieces. The piece that we're looking at, 2 of the 3 are what are called selectorized pieces. They're multi-station pieces that have an actual weight stack like you would see in an actual gym, but they're made for outdoors. So you would have 2 or 3 stations on each one that would have more of a feel like you're working out at a fitness facility. So 2 selectorized pieces with multi-pieces in there. And then the red vertical piece with the arrow pointing straight down at it is a outdoor kickboxing bag that you could get a cardio work on. The ropes, there's some battle ropes out there now that get some use. It's a nice cardio piece. We see, I can't say a lot, but we see some people boxing, both on the skate park as well as out there, kind of working out, training together. So we thought that would be a nice piece for there. And that was the tune of about $35,000. Joe Machado Field, again, most of this has been developed. The synthetic turf went in. The bathrooms have been recently done. The kitchen, the snack bar area has been recently done. We put in all new bleachers, within the last 5 years, as well as some shade structures there. So the one area that is one of the areas that's still undeveloped is that kind of upper seating section. And then we just have some kind of dirt up there. So some of the ideas up there would be to concrete and turf that upper area. So concrete on the left-hand picture on the far to the back of it are some existing bleachers. We'd like to get those under concrete, and then we've got them all on top of concrete. And then probably if we push, this one, we would lean towards, what we're leaning towards is the picture on the right. So it'd be concrete to the back, and then where you got synthetic turf. We have synthetic turf outside of the fenced area where the fitness equipment is. It would tie in nicely to a little play area for younger kids. What we're finding now is, though that equipment does get some use, a lot of the time, especially at games, it's kids up there kind of sitting on it, hanging out, playing on it. It's not necessarily always used for its intended purpose. So some things that might be more useful for that age group while they're watching a soccer game or Avalon High School football game. So that was Joe Machado. And then one of the things that's come up a few times is having just more shade along Front Street. And so we looked at a couple places to possibly do that. Antonio's in this picture, as you can see, is kind of pushed out their footprint with their bench seating or their restaurant seating, and we still have kind of a little bit of dead space. It's a nice quiet area, but one of the ideas would be to potentially provide some additional just general shading there. We at this time we have sails down at Kanabe Park. The next slide will show some sails possibly coming down Front Street for some shade, and then this kind of same look carrying through to this particular area. So that would be one area at about $40,000. Similar to the sales that we have at Kanabe, we did the install with the help of the Public Works crew and recreation staff. We did the install of those, and we would look to do something similar there as well. If you can see to the back of this picture, the green arrows, we have a couple of telescopes tonight. So I think, what a great opportunity just to kind of sit and look out these telescopes. And then I'm thinking, maybe these people in the back of their boats on that first line of moorings may not want a telescope. What are you, 50 feet away and someone's peering at you? So maybe there's a better use, maybe Lover's Cove or something for something like this. But those showed some telescopes there that we could certainly pull. So that's just another place to sit, kind of right off of Front Street, maybe on your walk, another resting place on your walk down to the casino or out to Descanso Beach. And then this one will show that kind of sage sail look going down Front Street, having 3 or 4 of them on South Beach and 2 or 3. It's a little small and you got more trees off of Middle Beach. but carrying just some, shaded seating, all the way through. We'll put out, and I see it every year when we put out the shades, awnings for the outrigger. They ask us to put 10 or 15 of them out there just for the teams to be able to come.
Yeah.
And as soon as we get them up, we've got people sitting under, which is fine. People sitting under them and looking for a place, in the shade. And then our last one, and this I think kind of shows a little more spread out than it is, but what we'd look to do is maybe define Lover's Cove in that area there, opposite of the cove. There's some bench seating out there now. There's a trash can. Define it with some split rail fencing, and then, for some security too. We've got, vehicle traffic going through. We've got pedestrians crossing there. So we've kind of enclosed it a little bit, kind of give it a sense of place, add some more benches out there, put a nice shade sail out there, and then possibly put a couple barbecue pits out there, which would be a nice place to, certainly picnic out there. Another trash can or so, and just kind of define that space. So with that, we're looking for the council to open up the discussion for some of the ideas that were proposed and maybe some other ideas that you have. We do need to get back in November, certainly December at the latest, but probably the second meeting in November in the event that we need to come back in December for the resolution. So we'd like to get back in the next month with some follow-up on any information that comes out of this. Have you proposed any further projects and have staff return with details? And then I just put out to open up the staff's discussion. The staff's recommendation would be to kind of break up these projects and try and get these 5 things out of it. The shade on Front Street, if that's something the council wanted to do. A venture park, which would be the climbing area just adjacent to the restroom, and finish up that area. We thought the Lover's Cove could use, just a place of being out there, and for $60,000 to do that. JMF to kind of finish up that pad up there and just provide another little space for the kids. And then at least about $20,000 without anything else to do with it to put that towards the fitness equipment, adding some additional fitness equipment that mimics even more of a kind of a fitness setting. So with that, I'll open it up to questions.
I have a couple thoughts, if we're at council level still, Annie. Based on the screen, your first 4 bullet points in a different order are my top 4 of 5 as well, which I was really excited to see now that I've seen the presentation. There's a lot of these projects that can easily be done with this funding, which is fantastic. I'm curious to know how much activity the fitness park at the kids park actually gets. I'm not there every day kind of thing, but it just doesn't seem like there's that much activity there in general. So I'm curious to know how staff is tracking that to determine why we would put more into it. And if it is used pretty heavily, then that's great. That makes sense. What I do know is developing, if we take this money and put it towards Lover's Cove, we're essentially creating another park space for our community and guests. And that to me is really exciting. Space and city property is so little as it is that what a wonderful way to create another parklet for our community. Joe Machado Field is another one that seems like it should be placed at a high priority, because any given evening that there's any event, game, or activity up there, it becomes such an unbelievably awesome family event. And so I think providing resources for the entire range of family and age groups is really awesome. And also, doing some improvements up there might make it a little bit safer for the littles playing around as well. So I think this is so exciting. I love when we get to have these conversations. It's the fun stuff that we get to do. So great job, Dan, for you and your team. And I'm all for what you've got on your list, and excited that we can really stretch these dollars as far as we can.
Yeah, if I can answer the question.
Yeah, I will say my window, actually right back here, faces the fitness center, and I'll tell you, I see people there all the time. Definitely.
Oh, that's great. That's great to hear.
So the fitness center does get good use. I wouldn't say it gets great use. And we think if we can mimic more of a fitness facility, I think it'll even get better use. We were even exploring, if there's a way that we could secure dumbbells, barbells and dumbbells that can't leave the park, that I think it would get much more use. And then, just providing this kind of level of fitness, I think would help the use that we're already getting.
I'm all in.
Okay. And I agree with Cindy on Lover's Cove. I think to have that area actually become a park area would be great. And I'm also really in favor of the area by Antonio's and Step Beach, because that's a huge plaza that sits there totally unused. It's a good sized space that really has no function other than walking by on your way to the casino. And so to be able to utilize that area would be fantastic. I think the things that you have brought, I think, are great. So kudos.
Another question along with when Michael was talking about that area, is that exactly, do we actually own that space on the other side, on that side of the palm trees?
I can't answer that with 100% certainty, Annie, because I have records stating the opposite, but so I need to clarify with the island company.
Okay, because, so where does their bar, I turned this sucker down. Sorry. So where the island where Jack put the bar on our railing, is that where the additional seating is right now? He didn't move, or did he move the bar off of our property?
I do not know if that bar is still there, Annie. I know he extended his outdoor dining area.
In that area.
Which I'm pretty sure is the island company's property.
Because I think that is a great location, but the other place that turned out to be a wonderful location for tables and shades is where Dave Hurley set up. Left side of the stage, still got a great view. So if it didn't work there, I mean, that might be nice. It's nice in the center of town as well. So
yeah, I mean, that's where they do the beer garden. Is that kind of where you're thinking?
Yeah, they're in a little further over. I mean, which are movable and usable.
Exactly.
Exactly. But but I do like that concept. I like the additional fitness stuff. I love the Lover's Cove. And the pieces and the shade on Front Street. I think most definitely. Yeah, we're heating people up. I don't know about I'm not sure the cement turf pad across the top. I'm not visualizing, or is that, they would both be there? Or
it'd be a combination. It would be a concrete pad under the bleachers that are up there, and the rest of it would be the synthetic turf with some ground level play equipment for the kids.
Because that's all one tree. I mean, so that's all within that same area.
Yes, yes, okay. Yeah. It would just kind of finish off that area up there.
Okay. Lisa?
Fantastic presentation. I only have a couple of questions. One on the shade on Front Street. Is it possible to create the shade structures such that we can have Front Street signage on the largest pole that's closest to the serpentine wall, so that we create, instead of having to discuss using Edison poles for event or class graduation signage, that we create our own space to be able to do that and manage a program that could potentially yield funds for the city?
Okay.
2, for the kids, for the Fit Trail portion addition, I love the items you've chosen, and also just wondering if it's possible to look at younger aged items. So many times families will head up there and then the littlest try to get on the big machines and
Right.
they're not supposed to, and they do
Yeah.
anyway. If we could have a couple of machines that might be made for family use for smaller ages, that might be kind of cool to do. The Lovers Cove improvements are amazing. I don't know if because of the proximity to the hillside, we need to be cautious with the barbecue pits.
I would check with fire about that,
Yeah.
certainly.
Or even look at possibly pay-per-use gas grills if we can, if that's even an option. Great on the park and the cementing for JMF. People used to love going out to the playground out in left field before and the center field out there, so that's nice to see that semi-return to that area. I think it's great. And the only thing I would ask is if we're looking at, I know it's not necessarily in the top ones right now, but if you were to look at that slide option or any other options, just to include some additional art features. I think the functionality of the stairs is cool, but could be really fun with some extra art and color. So just seeing if
Art
that's part of.
installations, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all I got. Thank you.
Yesenia, comments?
I know how you just mentioned, Dan, that possibly for the outdoor fitness, you're trying to incorporate, dumbbells and things like that. Would we think about maybe doing like lockers for those, but you would have to enter like a debit card or a credit card? I mean, we don't necessarily have to charge them. We could look into that, but just in case they aren't returned, we do have that information, and then we could charge for the stolen.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah, could look into that.
So the things we're kind of axing is the slide.
I think we're actually just moving it to a later project date for some of the.
Yeah, I mean, I know that's an expensive proposition.
Yeah.
And as well as, I mean, as much as I'd love to see one of those
The water pad
splash
would be fun.
pads, it's not the right location, and there's issues, and it's very expensive.
The space that is on downtown, by the way, that would actually be a really fun water pad space.
Yeah.
The other thing I was thinking though too is because that location tends to be one that has direct storm hits when storm hits happen, is that perhaps permanent structure would be better and not necessarily part of this funding. I'm picturing almost like game tables like in Central Park where you have permanent, semi-permanent structures that get built into the area, but that's a whole bigger thing. But just worrying about that, making sure that we're mindful of storms when that comes up if we're gonna put something that's lighter weight like that.
Maybe we put some of those at the end of the mall?
Yeah, heck yeah, we do.
Okay.
So I think with that, I've got my direction, and the plan was to have staff come back to council with a resolution, and at that time, we can look at these 5 projects, it looks like, and kind of tighten it up with color options for shades. We don't have to probably get into quite that detail, but a little more detail, tighten up the numbers a little bit, but come back with a resolution at that point. All right, thank you.
Thank you,
No,
Dan.
thank you, Dan, very good.
Council, I
Thank you,
just
Dan.
want to point out, just in
Great
case
job.
you think about it later, our 20% match, we do have $25,000 in this year's budget for CIP park stuff, and so we will be stretching it over 2 fiscal years.
Oh, great. And let me ask another question, based on Constance's note that came in about the skate park. Because is there a need for additional things out there?
We can always continue to add, and we do have some funding to add a few more pieces. I think she's looking more in the lines of starting, and we've talked to a few people, we just haven't gotten anywhere with it, starting some classes out there. So introduction to skateboarding, having some, competitions, have kids come over, and we're just looking for the right partner to kind of assist us with that. There's a young gentleman now in town that we're talking to. We've talked to Monica, a couple times, so we get the right person. We'd love to do some, actual programming out there. But it gets great use, and I've mentioned a couple times that, especially the pandemic, skate parks was one of the first things that opened, and I literally, at one point for Richard Hernandez, was going out there on a daily basis because I wanted to put a basketball court in there because it wasn't getting any use, and I could go out there we started playing pickleball out there regularly, and there's 15, 20 kids, 25 kids, families out there, so getting quite a bit more use than it ever has. So it's been great.
Is there shade needed up there?
There is a small shade sail that we have on the fence, but we could look to provide some more shade up there for the parents that are sitting there
At least
watching.
maybe by summertime or, right?
Yeah.
Didn't she suggest picnic tables? as well?
There's one table up there, and we could possibly put a second one up there. Sometimes the kids will throw all their stuff down on one, and there's nothing to sit down for the families that come up. So you got moms and dads up there, kind of having lunch, hanging out while the kids are skating. So we can easily put another one up there as well.
Is that used at all as a birthday party venue?
We've rented it just a couple times. Brian Bray rented it one time for his kids, and I think maybe one other time. It might have been Constance. So I think 2 times we've rented it. We just put signage, said be closed for a 4-hour period of time.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
So
Okay.
a couple times, yes.
Okay, that's
All right, thank you.
I also wanted to just add that Constance had brought up another idea, and I did actually talk to the Island Company about kind of cleaning up Field of Dreams just a little bit, and they seemed more than amenable to have a look up there. A lot of the videos and nowadays, all the social media, oftentimes we're not looking at what's in the background. So she had that really great idea, and it's been passed along, and I think they'll be working on it. But it might behoove us to look at another art project down the road too, where we could maybe install something that is kind of a visual deterrent from looking at the other areas outside the skate park, but also would maybe benefit the island. Maybe it's a picture that goes up, or maybe we paint a picture of like from Three Palms down looking at the Avalon Bay, or something that really presents well for social media. So just an idea for down the road, another possible art project.
Great.
Okay.
I'm just going to add one last thing on the skate park, and it's just been brought up, recently. I had somebody come to me probably within the last week asking about possible lights up there. So I was going to explore the idea with John, in-house, on what it would take to get maybe enough lighting that we could, keep it open until 8 o'clock. As of next month, it's going to get dark at 5:30. The kids are out of school for an hour or so, and then they can't use it. So some possible early evening lighting.
Could we look into some?
Again, I've actually gotten that comment as well, but at People's Park, because I know a lot of people rent it out for a lot of events, and it gets dark really early now. So I don't know if that's something we can look into.
Okay.
And maybe some solar lights.
Solar, certainly.
We
Yeah.
could put some little solar panels up there for lights, because that gets a lot of sun, I would think.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, item number 7, moving right along.
Our last item on the agenda this evening is modifications of the outdoor dining program during the shoulder season. Just as a quick recap, and this past June 15th, City Council had authorized 6 tables and up to 24 chairs for each restaurant that wanted to participate on outdoor dining on the beaches, and that was for July 1st through September 30th. And they were not to set up until 5:30 at night, and all had to be cleared up by 11 o'clock at night, and it was a charge of $1,800 a month. And as you know, we only had one restaurant that participated. We did have that restaurant reach out to us inquiring, if we could extend it, or were we thinking about it. And so after some conversation, our staff's recommendation to the council at this time, if you so desired to continue outdoor dining on the beach, would be to increase the dining hour by letting them set up at 4:30, and then to have a prorated schedule that they would have to give to the city council. Right now, if you broke down the $1,800 a night, it would be $60 a night. So Mr. Bray has proposed 3 evenings, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, and he picked a Tuesday because of some of the restaurants that closed down. It's just to offer another option for diners, and to increase the number of tables from 6 to 8, or a total of 32 chairs. We could try this through December 31st of 2021. There would definitely not be heaters, and staff has not received any complaints about outdoor dining this season, so I don't know if council has, and it hasn't been passed on.
And so what if someone else wants to come forward now? They could still?
It's definitely just for the beach, Annie, though.
Right, okay. And I have a question, rain or shine? I hate us to get into a thing, well, it rained today, so we didn't put the tables out. Is there a way that we could say it just, it is what it is, and if it rains, because if we get 2 days of rain, they're gonna, well, I don't know you for this 2 days.
No, so my proposal would be if they're saying 3 days a week with rain or shine, it would be a set amount for the month. So in this instance, it would be $720 for the month.
No? And then
I'll go. I like it.
Yeah.
It works for me.
Yeah, I'm good with increasing by the hour, especially as the daylight hours are changing. I'm good with the prorating of the month, and I'm perfectly fine with them increasing the number of tables. I was telling Denise, I'm encouraged by the county's numbers and what we're seeing and the vaccination rate and what we're seeing. But I also think it's wise to have this in place in case we get to the point again where we have to move back outdoors, that we have something in place already.
And he would tear down by what time? Is there a tear down
Regular time, 10
You have to be
o'clock.
off the beach by 11.
11,
That's
yeah.
the existing one.
And I just have a question. Now that we're going into the shoulder season and it's cooler, are we allowing him to have heaters?
No.
Is that
And why not?
for a reason, or can we do that? I don't have an issue with those.
Council's direction prior to our approval last July, in the springtime when you discussed it, we didn't want it. Your direction was to remove the heaters as well as our fire chief. There has to be a better way to secure them or remove them off the beach.
I thought the issue was due to high traffic, even more than that, but I won't.
It's
Is it a combination of both?
The vandalism, it's not being tied properly, and
Gotcha.
if the tanks are left on.
I feel that $60 is very inexpensive. Because from what I understand, they were also charging the people for the table. So they were making more, which is fine, that's a good, smart business, I guess. But they were also making additional money on the fact that we charged them what we charged them. So, I don't know, I would like to see that go up a little. If you're serving from 4:30 to 10 o'clock at night.
But they're only serving 3 nights a week.
I know, but that night that they're serving, you know, you turn that over 3 times and you got 32 people or 24, whatever, that's a lot.
Does it cover the cost of the staff that's servicing?
Well, sometimes,
and the lighting and like that. I mean, that's, I think, what ultimately the goal would be, to make that money back that is getting expended by having them on the beach. It looks nice, it photographs well, it's free marketing, it's a lot of things that we're not having to pay for, so that's a good thing, I think.
Yes, you can all disagree with me, I just think that's very inexpensive.
It's very inexpensive.
For that space on Friday and Saturday nights.
Yeah.
And look at all we got going, you've got jazz trucks coming out, you know, I just think it's inexpensive, too inexpensive. But
What would you want to see it increase to?
I don't know, hell, even $80, something. I mean, it just.
We're making, if it's charged on their bill though, there's a sales tax included with that, right? So.
Well, they're not gonna put tax on the $5.
On
You
the
can't
fee?
do that, you can only do it on the meal part, but, anyway. So I don't know what y'all think, that's just me.
Yeah.
Okay, is there comment or direction or motion or what?
Do you have anything, Michael?
I do.
Sorry, I'm not in favor of increasing the fee. You know, I don't think that the restaurants are sold out except for a off moment here or there through the events, or maybe an hour or so here or there. So I just see this as an option that he's offering his visitors, his customers, if they want to sit outside or inside. I'm in favor of that, but I know, I mean, I just want to see us find a way to make it work where, you know, we can have some heating out there for the guests that are out there. So, it worked just fine before, and I realized that there was some concern about stowage of the heaters. There was a lot of them before. There's not very many now. So I'd like to see the city staff find a way to make it work.
Yesenia, Lisa, and Michael, do you got a comment on your board?
I do. Carl Johnson writes, I believe that outdoor dining should continue for businesses that are not able to operate at full capacity within their own walls. They pay the same rent they did pre-COVID, but have been limited in their ability to fill those seats. I think that the city should offer this supplemental seating at a very affordable price, and any restaurant attempting to take advantage of additional seating should pay a premium for such scenic seating. I would also like to give a big thank you to Denise Ratty for all that she's done for our town. Her dedication is admired and she'll be missed. I wish her the best. In addition, with some real big shoes to fill, I wish whoever is appointed as the next city manager the best of luck in the challenges they will face ahead, and thank you for taking on such a vital role in the community.
Okay, somebody talk. What do you want to do?
Would it be possible to move forward with the staff recommendations and then add for the next meeting a follow-up regarding the heating option?
I think so. I think the council just needs to say whether or not they would be amenable to it, and then let city staff work it out.
I could
To
report
make it
back.
safe to
Remember
everybody's
correctly,
comfortable.
you might have to double check, but if I remember correctly, that meeting, Chief Alegria just said they would have to show him how they store it before he approves, and then it would be a green light.
And it wouldn't be inside the restaurants.
Right.
Right.
And for some reason, I'm thinking that Steve did not want to purchase heaters again, so I will speak to Steve, and we will
He may not wish to.
come back with a report out at the next meeting.
Oh, well, if he didn't want them, that makes it much simpler.
Right.
Yeah. They
Yep.
provide little blankets or something, like they do at the Blue Water. They give you blankets. Okay, so is that just direction, or do we need a motion?
I would like a motion, please.
Okay.
So I'll move to follow staff's recommendations to increase outdoor dining hours by 1 hour, allowing setup to begin as early as 4:30, to allow restaurants to determine a prorated schedule at the rate established by the city, and to allow restaurants to increase the number of tables and chairs to 8 tables and 32 chairs.
I'll second.
And the the rate would be $60
Per day.
correct?
Correct.
Councilmember De La Rosa, oh wait, any comments, Michael?
I have no comments.
Councilmember De La Rosa,
Aye.
Councilmember Lavelle,
Aye.
Councilmember Ponce,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Cassidy,
Aye.
Mayor Marshall.
With a little reservation, it's an aye. I just feel like it should be a little more money, and the fact that we're even allowing more chairs. Now, let me ask another question. Sorry, I did say aye. But are you,
This is through December, the end of December.
yeah, so a question about location. They can just, is there a limit to how far out on the beach? You're gonna let them go to the seawall or what?
It will be our same requirements that he's been following currently, so it's just
Okay.
adding 2 more tables.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, well,
Okay,
good.
our last item on the agenda is a closed session, and it's a public and employee appointment titled City Manager.
We are back from closed session.
There is no reportable action.
Thank you. Good night, Tony. Meeting adjourned.
Good night, Tony.